She just had to get away from him.
Rob Misla, the brother-in-law of Monique and Spencer Tepe, now speaking out about the man accused of killing the couple. Misla says Monique told him her ex-husband, Dr. Michael McKee, was emotionally abusive.
Myself and many others were well aware of kind of the negative impact that he had on her. She was willing to do anything to get out of there.
Well, I went upstairs and I saw a police officer sitting right in front of his door, guarding his place there, and I took a little video. I guess it's the newswoman in me. And I also took a picture of what his apartment looked like.
So a discovery of a dating profile for him has popped up. So Michael McKee supposedly has this alibi and had it all planned out before he even went and did what he did to Monique and Spencer. And somebody found a dating profile on him. Let's get into it. This is Fugitive TV. I'm your host, Ray Marcel, where we take a look at all these cases that are either unsolved, missing people, and we take a look at it from a different perspective because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to help other people out, give people motivation, hey, that they can turn things around. And I can see little details that maybe some people don't see. But right now, we're going to get back into the Spencer and Monique Tepe case situation, okay? Now, we all know that Michael McKee, the ex of Monique, has been arrested. He's been arrested on a double, unaliving of both of them. And we watched the press conference together this past weekend. And during the press conference, they did say that they did search his house and they found weapons in the house. One of those weapons matches ballistics of what was left in the house. So I'm guessing because he left behind shell casings, he left behind 9mm shell casings. For you guys that don't know, shell casings and bullets all have DNA, all have their own DNA, like our fingerprints, pretty much, that point to the original weapon they were fired from. So when you fire a weapon, it will leave a DNA print markings on the shell casing. So those casings were left. So they have that. They have the weapon that matches. They have that. So that right there, he's already cooked. When you got the body, when you got the weapon of how you did it, and those connect to the scene, you're done. They also said that it happened at 3:52 a.m. So some people are wondering how they know it was 3:52 a.m. because they're keeping it tight shut. They're not going to tell us everything because they don't want to tell us everything because then the defense, whoever his attorney is going to be, will know how to defend him the correct way. He can prepare. So they're not doing that yet. And speaking of attorneys, do you think he's going to have a public defender or do you think he has enough money to hire an attorney? If he was planning this, do you think he saved some money? Because if he was planning this, you would think he would save some money. Like, let me save some money for an attorney. But who knows? Let me know what you think. But besides the weapon and besides that, like I said, they 352 is when they're saying this all happened. So it could mean one or two things. Either he was caught going inside the house at exactly that time. The Tepes did have an alarm system. I looked that up on Zillow. I looked it up. It even shows the alarm system in their wedding video. It shows it. So they had an alarm system. So that tripped the alarm system at 3:52 a.m. because when the alarm goes off, it will keep a recording of the time it went off. So did he trip the alarm system? And let's say Spencer got up to go check it, and there goes Mike right there in his face with the weapon, holding it up to his face, go back into the room where everybody in the house goes. And what is Mike going to do? Mike's probably going to obey, just to keep everybody in the house alive upstairs. I'm just wondering how this happened, how they know. It also could be a Fitbit. I don't know. You guys let me know. How do you think they know 3:52 a.m. exactly? Well, there's an alibi of exactly what he did beforehand. So somebody found out that he reserved a cot at his workplace at a hospital to sleep overnight. So when it comes to these doctors and nurses, if they're doing, let's say, a long shift, supposedly he was doing, I think it was a 14-hour shift, 12 or 14 hours. I can't remember. But if you're doing a long shift, you can reserve a cot to take a nap go to sleep, wake back up, and then go back to work again, especially if you're driving far. So in my last video, I said that he lived in Lincoln Park, Chicago, but was working in Rockford, Illinois. So I guess that cot was reserved in Rockford, Illinois at the place he was working for. So he reserved that cot. It was for the same night when that happened to the Tepes, okay? The exact same night. So what he did was he reserved this cot. He went to work, okay? He actually went to work and then went to the cot and left. Now he tried to be smart. He left his cell phone where the cot was. Think about that. He left his cell phone where the cot was so they wouldn't get cell phone data on him by the house. Because that would be your next question, right? Oh, maybe they pinged his phone. Well, they didn't ping his phone because his phone was at the hospital. So he did one thing smart, but he was still caught on camera getting into the car. And the car had his name all over it with the plate. That wasn't smart. So he went to the Tepes' house. He did what he did to them, got back in the car, and then drove back to work. Okay. Got back to work around 10 or 11 a.m. because it's a long drive. 10 or 11 a.m., clocks in, goes to work like nothing happened. So this man literally stayed up all night driving, doing what he did to them, drove back. I heard it was like a 14-hour pretty much round trip, 12, 14 hours or something like that, round trip to go back and forth. That's what I heard. I never made that trip, so I don't know. But he did that trip and then came back. That is very, and went to work like nothing happened and working on patients with no sleep, like nothing happened. Like, okay, I just did this. Oh, well, I got it over with and I'm working. What a person. But you know what?
The audience what you did to take a peek 2 floors up where he lived and what you saw.
Well, I went upstairs and I saw a police officer sitting right in front of his door, guarding his place there. And I took a little video. I guess it's the newswoman in me. And I also took a picture of what his apartment looked like from the outside. And I just was surprised that there's a police officer on duty there 24 hours. And then I came up the next day, and there, Lord and behold, I saw that there were now investigators there. And I went to get my car in the garage, and there was an investigation van saying Crime Lab from Columbus. So that is something else that I videotaped right away. And the investigators going to the van. And when I went upstairs, I saw that they were taking boxes of stuff out of there and putting it in there. They had one box and they were putting stuff in there.
I guess if you're going to do it, that's the way you do it. I guess act like nothing happened, right? Go back to work like nothing happened, because if you didn't show up to work, then everybody would point at him at the first day. Even though the first day they probably were still pointing at him, but if he didn't show up to work, it probably would have hit the news media a lot faster than it did. Because some of us YouTubers, like I myself, the very next day, we were pointing fingers at Mike. For you guys that watch me, you guys know I was already pointing fingers at Mike. But the big news stations, it took them a while. They weren't pointing no fingers until he got arrested. But that's exactly what happened. And then from work, he went to go get some fast food. And I guess it is confirmed he was going to Chick-fil-A and got arrested at Chick-fil-A because they were following him the whole time. Now, they did actually call his job. They called, I think it was January 8th. Now, they're not saying exactly, you know, what was said, but I'm pretty sure what was asked. January 8th, when they called his job, hey, was Michael Tepe there working on this date? And they probably were like, yeah, he reserved a cot. And that's probably how, the whole cot situation came out, was from that. They did contact him as well. And of course, his alibi is pretty much that he was working, right? Now, when they officially arrested him, put handcuffs on him, for you guys that don't know this, anytime you get arrested, and there's investigators or detectives that are in charge of your case. So say for example, let's say just for example, right? Let's say you get arrested for maybe something smaller. I don't know. Let's say you get arrested for stealing $500 worth of merchandise out of a Walmart, okay? You're gonna get arrested. You might get questioned right there in loss prevention by the police. They're gonna try and get you to, tell on yourself. Then you're gonna get taken in a car. Depending on your county, some counties can tell you your bond right then and there. Some counties no. Some counties you gotta go to the judge before you get a bond. It just all depends. Well, anyway, sometimes they'll take you straight to jail. Sometimes you won't even see a detective or investigator because it's a very small thing, right? You get a bond, you bond out. If you're broke, you sit in jail. Well, if your case is really big and you got investigators and detectives on it, a lot of times before you go to jail or before you actually go into your cell, like during booking, they'll put you into what is called the interview room, like you guys have seen on TV, and that's where you get interrogated. So, for example, when I finally turned myself in after all those years, okay, I didn't see jail right away. You know where I saw? An interrogation room. I was pretty much in the interrogation room for almost 3 days straight because there was wondering how I was on the run for 15 years, what I did, how did I get to this country, how did I pass the border, how did I get driver's licenses, how did I even work at an airport while I was on the run, how did I start a business, how I went to college. I did all this while I was on the run. I wasn't on the run committing crimes. I was on the run trying to live a regular life, was what I was doing. And they were wondering how I did that because they were scared that I might have sold either information to somebody of how to do this, which could have been very dangerous if it was in the wrong hands, or they wanted to see if somebody told me how to do this and if I would tell on them. So I got interrogated for a long time. So I know for a fact that when he got arrested, oh, he was getting interrogated. But you know what supposedly he said? Nothing. Supposedly he said nothing. He said that he's not talking to them. Okay.
Has this guy possibly painted himself into a corner because you know the police call the exes first?
They always do. And people always, unfortunately, have this reflexive need to kind of talk and basically talk themselves or paint themselves into a corner. And unfortunately, I've said it, I can't tell you how many times, on the federal level, they almost never record what you say, so it's your word versus their word about what you said. And then when it comes to local, sometimes they hear something, you didn't mean it that way, it doesn't come across that way. It's a no-win situation. You do not talk yourself out of something, you only talk yourself into something.
So he showed his rights because you have the right not to talk to him and that he won't speak to any of them without a lawyer, which is actually the smart thing to do. I don't care if you get into trouble, okay, and you didn't do nothing. I don't care if you did nothing whatsoever. Your best bet is to even still say nothing and say, sorry, I'm not talking to you, I'm a lawyer. And then the police are going to try and pressure you. Oh, you look guilty. I can look guilty all I want to, but I know I'm not guilty. And I'm not going to have you twist up my words and what I say and try and trick me into saying something that I didn't do. No, sorry. I am getting an attorney. You do what you got to do when you're in. All right. Because if you didn't do anything and they don't have no evidence that you did anything, technically, you're not supposed to be arrested anyway. But if you, let's say, really didn't do nothing and the cops start harassing you and questioning you, you're like, oh, I didn't do nothing. I'm going to answer all these questions. But for some reason, you slip up and you say something and it puts you at the scene of the crime some sort of way. You might be going to jail and you might have to fight that later. I didn't do it, but you was there. You said you was there at that time. I didn't know it happened. Having another room. I didn't, but you said you was there. You just told on yourself. And now your lawyer got to defend. Now your lawyer has to go and defend what you just said. So I don't care if you did nothing. Okay. And if it's a serious crime, I'm sorry. You guys got to talk to my lawyer. I could be as innocent as Jesus himself, but y'all got to talk to my lawyer. Okay. If he has one. All right. But that's my little advice for you guys, just to let you know. But yeah, he said he wasn't talking to nobody. So that was one smart thing he did on his end. Okay. So we're all still waiting for him to get extradited because the state of Ohio has to get him from Chicago. And I talked about this in my live. Ohio, they're really not going to get him. It's a third party company that gets him because I went through that as well. So a third party company is going to get hired to pick him up. There's a couple different ways they will get him, and they either would be by bus or van, and they'll make that drive to get him, or it would be them taking him on a plane. Okay. I heard Brian Kohlberger was put on a from the person that was convicted of the Utah, or I'm sorry, not Utah, Idaho, the Idaho 4. I heard he was put on a private plane. I'm not sure if that's true, but somebody told me he was put on a private plane. That's very rare because that's expensive. A lot of times they'll put the person on a commercial plane and it'll be 2 or 3 people that are armed. That's with a private company, almost like security, and they'll put them on the plane first, all the way in the back, and then the regular people will come on the plane, and you won't even know he's back there. All right. A lot of times that's what they'll do, or they'll just put him in Ford Transit. That's the cheap way, but that's also the most vulnerable way, as in like he can escape easier. You can't escape from the plane when you're in the air. It ain't happening unless you're gonna die and fall out. But from the bus, it's a lot easier because they're taking bathroom breaks. They're not driving straight through. They're taking bathroom breaks at a rest stop, which things can happen. They can go down, and they're also taking food breaks. So they're stopping at places like Burger King or Wendy's and getting food. All right. You're not walking inside. A lot of times they're either going through the drive through or they'll send one person in and the other 2 people will stand guard by the prisoner. All right. And a lot of times when they're doing the van, there'll be more prisoners with him. With me, it was like 6 of us in there. So it'll be more people with him. All right. So, and they're doing stops along the way. They're stopping at this jail or picking up this person or dropping this person off. A lot of times that's how that works. I don't see that happening. I see him going on a plane because he's major priority. But I could be wrong. Who knows? But that's what I see. But one person also found a dating profile. Michael had a dating profile online, which I mean, he was single. Look at this real quick. So a discovery of a dating profile for him has popped up. So Michael McKee, somebody found a dating profile of him. Okay. And take a look. So these are the pictures that he had on there. Um, it's highlighted that he liked meaningful work, newly expanded free time, hot yoga, travel planning, using global entry, recent interest in riding an electric motorcycle. His interests are art, design, basketball, football, skiing. All right. It looks like the part where he says, enjoying free time, he's going to have a lot of free time on his hands. He actually might even be able to use this profile while he's in there. Let's take a look and see what I saw something here and see what it says. About me, lucky to have work. I find meaningful and increased free time for new things. Currently trying hot yoga, way less flexible than I recall. Plan a trip. Okay. He didn't list everything he likes, like, getting rid of his exes. That's for sure. I mean, women, what do you think? If you came across that dating profile, would you click it? Which way would you swipe, left or right? Let me know. I forget which one is which. I forget. But which way would you swipe? And somebody remind me, was left to get it or right was the pass? I don't remember. Or whatever. It's been years since I've been on a website like that. Or whatever. I think last time I was on a website was like Plenty of Fish or something. But that was a long time ago. But let me know. Would y'all go for that profile? He should have added more to that profile, right? Should have added a little more like, hey, I will stalk you if you leave me. That's what he should have added. Told the truth to people. But hey, ain't nobody telling the truth on their secret dark side. It's not happening, right? Well, I just wanted to share this information with you guys because, especially on this case, I know a lot of people, they want to hear the more information on it, of course. So I'm sharing it to you and also giving you a little tidbits here and there of how things also work. Please like, subscribe, okay? If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining. I hope you like this episode. Please stay tuned. I try and post as much as I can. If you're returning, thank you so much for returning to my channel. It's been great, all right? And if you don't know, there's Fugitive TV merchandise down below. Some of the stuff actually the price got cut, so some of it just went on sale. I also have a code, okay? I have a code for people who sign up for the membership monthly, okay? If you sign up for the YouTube membership monthly, I have a code for that. And the YouTube membership monthly, I'm going to start doing some live streams that are not as edited as before, because I do a lot of videos. I have to edit out certain words and stuff like that. It's because I need to edit certain things out, especially certain, I would say, words, because YouTube will not share the video. Okay. So on certain videos or lives, I am going to do members only lives, okay? So that way I can not edit certain things and you guys can get the raw, real deal, okay? And not only that, when my book comes out, okay? My book is almost out. Oh, don't even know what I did with it. Right here, right here, right here, okay? Right there. Rare Redemption. It's about my whole life, all right? How I grew up, me, my mother, my little brother. Grew up pretty much as a good kid out in Los Angeles. Um, Never really got into trouble. My mom didn't have a lot of money, so we were always around trouble and bad things. And about how I ended up getting in trouble when I got into my early 20s, going in and out of jail, and then eventually escaping and going on a run, all kind of stuff. All right. Up until now, to where I'm doing very good in life, own a couple companies, talking to you guys with this YouTube channel, and also doing motivational speaking to other people. So it's about my whole journey. And it's a book about motivation and inspiration to try and get the next person to, because if I could do it, you could do it too. There's no excuses, okay? No excuses. Well, what I'm doing is, okay, for the first 10 people who sign up for the membership program, when this book comes out, I will be signing it, autographing it, and putting my own personal message in here for you, okay? So it should be out within the next, I would say I'm hearing about another month, maybe 2 months. They're going through editing right now. And I'm thinking about even doing some sign merch. That's what we're thinking about doing. So just letting you know, okay? Please like, subscribe, comment below. This is Fugitive TV. Please take care of one another. I'm going to be posting another video probably tonight or early in the morning about another situation that I just got my hands on, all right? Please take care. I'm out.